I built an AI that analyzes Instagram commenters' profiles and sends them personalized DMs, and I'm about to show you exactly how you can build it yourself with zero experience. And there's a nice little bonus because I'll give you the template for this setup entirely for free. First, you're gonna have to understand the two ways that this can be used. The first one being that you can DM everyone who comments on your profile and start a conversation. This means every single comment, regardless of which comment it is, can trigger this AI. And the second one is to DM a resource and automatically follow up after. So if you give away resources in your Instagram posts and tell people to comment systems in order to get the guide, this path is going to be for you. Both of these paths are going to work with the template I'm about to give you. And now let's get into how we will do it. First, we have ManyChat. ManyChat is what we're going to be using in order to trigger people who actually comment on our post and be able to trigger our AI. The AI itself is built in n8n, where we're going to be scraping every single user's profile data and write personalized messages using OpenAI. And for scraping, we're going to be using Ensemble Data. The setup is very simple, so let's get into the building. Before we start anything, you're going to have to sign up to ManyChat. They have a free 14-day trial for their pro plan, and you're going to need the pro plan in order to set this up. So simply go to ManyChat.com or click the link down below in the description and click on Get Started to start your free trial and connect your Instagram. Once you've set up your ManyChat, go to school.com/omnifusion. It's completely free to join. Click on Classroom, click on Building AI Agents, and here there's a section called Building AI that DMs all your Instagram commenters. In here, you're gonna find all necessary templates, including the ManyChat template and the n8n template. Once you click on the link for the ManyChat template here and save it inside of your ManyChat, you're gonna be looking at a flow just like this one. The setup is very simple. We have our trigger on the left-hand side, where we have a trigger for when somebody comments on one of your posts or reels. I'll show you how to set that up in a second. We then have the n8n flow trigger, where we send the message to n8n and get it back. We then send out the resource. And once somebody clicks on the resource link, we're going to add a tag, which is going to trigger a follow-up 1 minute later or 10 minutes later, whatever you want. I'm going to show you how to customize it using your AI personalized message. Next, you're going to have to sign up to n8n. So click the link down below in the description, then navigate to Get Started and start your free 14-day trial. After that, you're going to go back into school, download the file for the n8n template, navigate into your n8n workspace and click on Create Workflow. In the top right corner where you see the three dots, you're gonna click on Import from File and simply select the file that you just downloaded. That is gonna import this flow right here, and now all we need to do is add in a couple credentials to make this working. First, let's go to the OpenAI node, simply open it up, click on Credential to connect with, and select Create New Credential if you don't have one yet. Now you're simply gonna need your API key. For this, simply go to platform.openai.com/API keys. You can sign into this platform using the same account that you use for ChatGPT. Just make sure that you link a credit card so that you can actually use your API key. Simply click on Create New Secret Key, name it any way you want, and click on Create. You're then going to copy this secret key, go back into n8n, and insert the API key right here. You can name it however you want in the top left-hand corner and click on Save. If this shows connection tested successfully, you can go ahead and close it, and you're now successfully connected to OpenAI. The final element of the setup that is missing before we can get into the beautiful details is the Ensemble Data API node. If you open this up, everything is already pre-configured for you. The only thing that you need to adjust is your token right here. For this, simply go to Ensemble Data, link is down below in the description, and sign up to their plans. They have a completely free plan, which allows you to do 50 units a day, which will be enough for about 10 users to receive a personalized outreach message for $0 a month. Simply sign up to your free trial, and once you're in your dashboard, you can find your token in the top left-hand corner. Just copy that token out, paste it into this field, and you're good to go. Now let's go over what this flow actually does. We will receive a webhook from ManyChat, then we will scrape the profile information from Ensemble Data. You can also replace this with Appify, for example, but I like using Ensemble. Then we send the data to OpenAI using this node. We then use code to remove any M dashes so that the message actually looks human. And we then respond to the webhook, meaning we send the data back to ManyChat where we can then use it in our ManyChat automations. If we open up the OpenAI node, all the prompts are already configured for you. We have a system prompt, which are the instructions that we give the AI, and we have a user prompt where we insert the information from the lead. If we open up the user prompt by clicking right here, we can see that we have the lead name, the Instagram bio, their profile category, and their past 3 post captions. So these are the captions of their 3 most recent posts. You don't need to adjust anything down here. For the system prompt, you will need to customize it yourself. Simply click here, and the prompt is already finished for you. You just need to insert a couple little details. First, you're going to specify who the AI is working for. So you are inside the account of X who does Y, and you need to insert details about your business here. So we can do, you are inside the account of Emil who helps businesses scale their Instagram sales with a proven AI system. The next portion we need to adjust is right down here where we send the resource message. Hey, first name, love something short and specific about them. Here's your guide on how to do. So whatever resource you hand out, you want to insert the name of the resource into this message right here. In this case, I'm going to write triple your Instagram sales in the next 90 days. The final thing we need to adjust is inserting our niche down here. So in my case, I'm going to remove this and say selling on Instagram. We now have this prompt fully adjusted for the version where we send out a resource message and a follow-up message after. If you want to change this to something else, I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Now this version right here shows the resource plus follow-up message variation. If you want to change this to only send a single outreach message to everybody who comments on your Instagram post, simply go ahead and remove the follow-up message. Keep the name here, resource message, the same because we're going to use this to identify the variables in ManyChat later, so don't change this portion. And then here you could simply change the template to an outreach template. So instead of sharing a free guide, we would go ahead and say, hey, first name, love something short and specific about them. Then we can add a paragraph in here and we can say, where are you struggling on Instagram at the moment? And this will now be our initial outreach message. For this first test though, I'm going to use the resource and the follow-up message, and I'll show you how to adjust it in ManyChat as well. So once you've customized this, simply go ahead and close it out, click on save. And we're now going to go over to the webhook node, click on production URL, and copy this URL. Make sure that your flow is set to active, otherwise this will not work. You can then go back into ManyChat, click on the n8n flow node, click on the external request, and insert your URL here. There's usually a bug here where it's best to delete everything and then paste it in again instead of highlighting and pasting. Just an FYI. Apart from that, you do not need to adjust anything else. We have our headers, we have our body where we input a couple details about the lead, and then we have our response mapping. Now, if you adjusted your n8n flow to only have the initial message as an outreach and you don't want to do a follow-up, you can simply remove the follow-up right here and it will only map the resource message. You can go ahead and test this request by entering any name of any lead that you have inside of your ManyChat. In this case, I'm going to select myself and click on test request. This is now going to trigger the n8n flow. So if we go back into n8n and go to executions, we can see that the flow is currently running and it has now succeeded. If we take a look at what it did from the webhook, it got my information. We then got all the profile data using Ensemble Data, where we can see my bio, we can see all kinds of details about my profile, including all post captions. We then have the OpenAI node where we input the information using the prompt and we received a resource message and a follow-up message. As you can see, it's personalized because my recent Instagram posts are about my personal transformation and journey. We then use code to format it and remove any M dashes possible and output it on the right-hand side. And we then respond back to the webhook, which we can now see inside of ManyChat, where we can see that we received the messages right here. After this request, we then send out the resource message along with a link to the guide. Once the guide has been clicked, so once this button here is clicked, we then add a tag for follow-up, which triggers a separate flow called the follow-up trigger, where when the tag follow-up is applied, we wait X amount of time and we say, hope that was valuable, and then we send the follow-up message, which is the follow-up question. Now you can adjust this to anything you want. Something like 10 minutes, for example, works great. You can also make it 11 if you want it to seem a little bit more random. For the purpose of this testing though, I'm gonna keep it at 10 seconds so that we don't spend too much time on it. Make sure to update all your flows. So after you edit, click update and you should be good. Now, in order to test this before you set it live and do all your comment triggers, you can use the trigger sends a message. For this, simply click on new trigger, user sends a message, and then you can select if the message contains, in this case, I'm going to do a meal test, then we will trigger this flow. We can now test it by simply going into Instagram and using a different account to DM the one that we have connected to Instagram. As you can see, I already did a ton of tests and the AI is really doing a great job. So when I say Emil test, it will say, hey Emil, love your focus on growth and transformation. Those Bali and Bangkok stories are next level. So it gets really specific with what I actually do. You can also personalize it by going into your n8n flow, adjusting the prompt and forcing it to highlight something about my business. So it could mention OmniFusion AI, for instance. Now let's test it again. I'm simply going to say Emil test. I'm going to send that message out. It's now going to be running in the n8n flow, generating the messages, sending them back to ManyChat, and shortly we're going to receive them here where we can see, hey, Emil, really inspired by your Bali post. Love how you tie personal transformation together. Here's your guide on how to triple your Instagram sales in the next 90 days. Now, as you can see, nothing is happening here when it comes to the follow-up message until I click on the link. So I'm going to open up the guide, which is just a placeholder guide to our website. This link click was now tracked, and 10 seconds later, we will receive the personalized follow-up message that we configured inside of n8n. And as you can see, we now just got the message, curious, what's something you're struggling with right now when it comes to selling on Instagram? And that is the full system of how you can do this aspect. And this is incredibly powerful because you now have all the tools you need to personally reach out to everyone on autopilot. Now, let's say I wanted to adjust it like I mentioned earlier and only send an initial message if they comment anything on my post. For this, I would simply remove the follow-up message right here, keep the resource message headline, but then simply adjust the template. Hey, first name, love something short and specific about them / their business. So you can also adjust this if you want to be more business focused, more personal focused, etc. And now instead of sharing the guide, we will simply say, how's it going with something about their business, if nothing specific in profile data, say Instagram sales. So you can also add fallbacks into your prompt. You can then also remove the instruction to not include the link. That's simply for the resource message. Go ahead and close this out. Go back to ManyChat, and inside this flow, we would simply adjust by removing the action at the end, the follow-up action, and changing this message to remove the button and just sending out the resource message. So we'll go ahead and update this, and I'll run another test now. So I'm gonna say Emil test again. It's now running through n8n, and we now got the personalized outreach message saying, hey Emil, inspired by your Bali and Bangkok stories, sounds like you're truly leveling up in every area. How's everything going with OmniFusion lately? Incredible personalized outreach message, and from there on, once they reply, you are free to take over the conversation. Now, the final aspect here is actually configuring your triggers. So right now, obviously we're using user sends a message to test it, so we can turn this back off. And we can now do new trigger, comments on your post or reel. And you can select a specific post or reel if you're doing the resource route. That may make sense to have multiple flows for different reels, or you can do all posts or reels. So if I want all comments with any keyword, so any comment on all my posts to trigger this flow. In this case, I would not want to set up a public reply in the feed, so I would click on no, save, and now this trigger has been turned on. So now we're gonna test this again by going back into Instagram. Now we're simply gonna go to my Instagram profile, pick a random post, such as this one, for example. I'm gonna comment anything. And now we're gonna wait for the personalized outreach message to come in. And boom. Hey Emil, saw you're the mind behind OmniFusion and AutoAI GDM. Really inspiring how you're combining business with personal growth. How's everything going with scaling things up after such a strong start to the year? Beautifully personalized, because in one of my post captions, I mentioned that the start of the year was amazing for me. It takes information from my bio, from OmniFusion and AutoAI GDM, and this overall is a really strong outreach message. And the same principle would apply if you're sending the resource here. You would have the same triggers. You would simply change it and make the trigger specific to your resource. To get all the free resources and templates from this video, simply join our free school community. Link is down below in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future.